Hello, everyone. David Atkins. I'm going to tell you, TI here with How to Tame a Demon Read Through Part 3. Sorry, I've been MIA the last 3 days. I have literally been laying down, hurting, whole body aching. I would get energy and feel like doing something and stay busy for like an hour, and then it would drain me like I couldn't do nothing. So I've been basically just laying down, resting for the last 3 days. Totally exhausted, whole body's exhausted. So I think I'm kind of snapping out of it right now, whatever it was. But I've been sick as a dog last 3 days. I don't want to say it's weapons because I don't know for sure. So I'm not going to say that, but definitely with some craziness. So anyway, we are back on How to Tame a Demon. And I'll be saying these questions. Bear with me because I'm a little rusty from all this, like I said, illness that I've been going through. Uh, and I hope it's not weapons because it'd be horrible if it was. Uh, um, but let's just read a quick Bible verse and we'll start. Given to the needy, be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets to be honored by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. I don't know. That's the first thing I turn to. Like I said, I'm a little rusty, but I do not want to ever feel like I felt the last 3 days again. I can tell you that it was horrible. Uh, I couldn't have posted a video or done a video if I'd wanted to. But let's just thank God that I'm coming through it. I'm bouncing back. Not 100%, but I'm getting there, trying to. All right. Should I tell my family and friends what's happening to me? Also, if you'd like to do an interview, please reach out to hollyspunk@gmail.com. Um, we pretty much got the female slots booked this month, but we need males and females though. So I'm sorry, my brain's still a little clouded. We need males and females. We usually do the females on Sunday. Uh, when Holly can be here, and we do the males through the week. So just let us know if you're wanting to tell your story, and speak your truth. Okay, should I tell my family and friends what's happening to me? And sorry if I'm sort of disorganized. Like I said, I forced myself to do this video because I've been feeling under weather and I ain't did a video in 3 days. So, all right, this is a difficult situation to avoid. It's such a life-changing experience that you, the target, have difficulty believing that the people closest to you can't believe you and tens of thousands of others' testimony. There's a trade-off by doing this. Your family will first believe that a mental illness has taken hold. A certain percentage will be believed, but at a cost. Their family will worry and empathize with the target's suffering. They will not be able to do anything about it. Sympathy feels good for the target, but it's not productive for their social networks. Do you want your mother to cry over your suffering? Do you want many of your friends to decide you're crazy or scare them, or that there will be next if they talk to you? Most friends will run and distance themselves for the target. The target will believe it's a Sander campaign being done, but it is what they said to their friends that causes the reactions. These are the decisions you must make. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. And I agree with that. Now, in some instances, there are slander campaigns being done, and I know this. Uh, so because instance in New Orleans, I was homeless and I was going to this place for a free pair of shoes because they give shoes out on Thursdays at the Rebuild Center. The dude at the Rebuild told me, he said, "Look, man, I'm not allowed to give you nothing in front of these people or I'll get in trouble myself. So come when nobody's around, I give you a brand new pair of New Balances." So I went, and I should have asked him, what are they saying about me? Why ain't you allowed? But I didn't. I was just so happy to get the shoes. I got the shoes and left. And he's like, "Don't tell nobody I gave you these." So I know he was told something. Okay, are there support groups for what I'm going through? And this says, I don't recommend many support groups because TIs get sucked into the addiction of drama on the hundreds of internet groups. There are a few useful ones, but I won't recommend them. Many of the others get the victims addicted to lies and drama like soap opera, and they can never escape. Negativity becomes an addiction for some positive people. Misery loves company. It's not good for psychological health. Surround yourself with positive people, mostly non-TIs, if you want to feel better about the world. It is costly to undo the damage of many trolls surfing the internet. The anger and bipolarism that is introduced into is in it's costly to undo the damage of many trolls surfing the internet. The anger and bipolarism that's introduced into many TIs creates strife of hatred and anger on the general public and to their family, friends, and strangers trying to help them. They know not what they can do. They shoot themselves in the foot and expect people to care. It's a very unfortunate situation. They can never take back the damage they do for the movement, and this planning, of course, is intentional for those who understand the average emotional reactions. Emotional controls of extreme importance to make the enemy act irrational and make bad decisions. You are the enemy, the powers to be. However, there's some relief in not feeling alone and some good resources out there to help you understand the programming. Be selective in who you friend on Facebook and which support groups you join. I agree with that totally. Um, I was a member of one of the Facebook groups. I'm not gonna name it. It's a big one too. Um, and every time I would post something about my targeting, one of the moderators of the group would post something to discredit it or post something to question it and have me endlessly trying to answer questions, trying to prove myself. Don't do that. If you post something about your target and any negative response to our comment under that thing is to get you to engage in manufacture chaos. Do not engage. Ignore it. Um, because you got trolls that sit back and just didn't. So then what I did was I called the person out on it, and you know, they what did they do? Sorry, I'm still a little. My brain. They not only attacked my body when I hurting, but my brain was out of it too. Just now coming back. I ain't gonna lie. I thought I was losing it there for about 3 days, and it's coming back though with rest. But anyway, so um, what I'm saying is what this person did was so then they put that uh they said, well, this dude unfriended me. Anyway, it's a long story. Just to make it clear, they stonewalled me, and stonewalling is they said uh I had to I'm my or they started putting comments about somebody because I unfriended that person when they started doing that over and over and over. Once or two times maybe they're questioning just got, but time after time after time. So they unfriended me. Then they posted about somebody unfriending them, and then when they did that, I called them out on it. And so anyway, there was a big argument, and they called me a perp and all this. Then they stonewalled me. They kicked me out of the group where I could not respond to what was being said about me. Anytime somebody does that, it's called stonewalling. So I'm gonna read this one more time in case I got any more commentary. I don't recommend many support groups because TI gets sucked into the addiction and drama on the hundreds of internet groups. I can understand that. There are a few useful ones, but I won't recommend them. I'm a member of like 50 groups on Facebook. I post my videos in all of them. It helps beat the algorithm, and I'll sit back and just from watching my Facebook feed, I sit in the background. I can tell who's real in these groups and who's not just by the post. The uh, what you call it, how many times they post, what they post, the consistency of their post. You can really tell most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. Many of others get victims addicted to lies and dramas like a soap opera, and they can never escape. I agree that happens all the time, especially on Facebook and Twitter. Negativity becomes addiction for some people. Misery loves company. It's not good for psychological health. Surround yourself with positive people and mostly non-TIs if you want to feel better about the world. It's costly to undo the damage of many trolls surfing the net. That's true, but most of the time you can find real TIs out there, and try to keep your crowd small, because there are people that will want to try to bring you in drama of who's a perp, who's not a perp, what's going on, what's not going on. This person did this person did that, and keep you in a never-ending gossip soap opera. The anger and bipolarism that's introduced to many TIs creates strife of hatred. on the general public and their friends, families, and strangers trying to help them. They know not what they do. They shoot themselves in the foot and expect people to care. It's a very unfortunate situation. This is the case sometimes. A lot of TIs don't know they're targeted, and when they find out, they expect everybody to understand them. I know I did. I was like, man, look, I'm proving this to y'all. I was telling my family, look, I can prove it. All this going, they thought I was just crazy. Well, a couple of them believe me though, but so yeah, and I would get mad, lash out because nobody understood me, and so I've shot myself in the foot a couple of times. I think they can never take back the damage they do for the movement, and their planning is, of course, intentional from those who understand the average emotional reactions. Yeah, because you know what they can do? They can manipulate phones and all that, so they can have your parents message you from a spoof number. It looks like your parents messaging you, making you think they're in on it. They can do all kinds of stuff. Um, so if I was a new TI and my parents didn't know and I hadn't told nobody else and I found out, I would just keep it to myself and be strategic about it from there instead of doing damage because we get mad for our families not understanding sometimes and we burn bridges and all that. Emotional control is of extreme importance to make the enemy act irrational and make bad decisions. You are the enemy to the powers that be. However, there's some relief in not feeling alone and some good resources out there. Targeted beliefs, be selective, and yeah, that's true. All right, let's go to trolls. Trolls deserve a mention. Trolls is a term for psychological illness where people on the internet infiltrate groups or calls or any calls and enjoy pretending they're one of the group and then creating strife through rumor and spoofing other people's identities. Happens all the time, especially on Facebook. This is an outlet for sociopaths and anarchists. Trolls are experts at getting under your skin and using fake identities because of their cowardly acts that would classify as libel, stalking, and harassment. There's another group of paranoids that hang in internet groups that don't have strategy to fix their situation and think everyone is a troll, agent, or perp. They accidentally do the dirty work. They accidentally do the dirty work of classifications of people. Of these classifications of people. There's a group of paranoids that hang in the internet support groups that don't have any strategy to fix their situation and think everyone is a troll, agent, or perp. Met a bunch of them. They actually do the dirty works classifications people. This book is more relevant to new TIs. They have a multi-variable large chess game to play, psychological war games. I agree. Not everyone understands game theory and just react to each confrontation they encounter. Only those that see the future and many moves ahead of the time can be useful to change the future if they know to change the rules of the game and get out of their Skinner box. The only practical advice, like much advice in the book, is to ignore them. If you're on Facebook, you can report them, but they'll create new accounts. Most troll accounts have very little history and few friends are some clues to avoid unfriending them. The support groups you can do nothing about. Hope the moderator can remove them, but sometimes the moderator falls into the antagonist role. I see that all the time. Drama is an addiction for some people. Look how popular soap operas are. With all the signals and pain induced into a target, it's difficult for them to not to become bipolar and experience extreme emotions and become overly sensitive to attacks on their character. That's very true. And I used to be the worst about, um, you know, when I was in the TI, when I got in the TI community in 2018, I was new. I was very blacklisted, homeless. Nobody would help me. So of course, it's summer. I'm in Pensacola. I'm totally blacklisted. Can't get clothes. Can't get nothing. They're hitting me, making me pee myself, because they know I can't get no new clothes. I'm dirty. So every time I started doing YouTube videos, and every time I would do a video, I get called drug addict and all that, and just get rejected by the TI community. And really, I was just a TI being being targeted, and but because I'm new and everybody thinks, well, this new dude just showed up on the scene, he's suspicious. But man, everybody's got to be new to the community sometime, you know. But I really went through it in 2018 with the smear campaigns and stuff. And I almost let it run me off from the TI community altogether, and um, just gave up. But you know what? I knew that my character would speak for itself, so it would take time, but not to worry. So don't try to defend yourself against all this. If you get negative comments or negative anything, just ignore them, block them if you want to, but don't even react to them. And it takes so much energy trying to protect your character when all you got to do is keep being yourself, and over time, people see that what they're saying about you is not the case. Okay. Most troll account have okay. The support groups you can do nothing about. Okay. We will discuss strategy in more detail later. Strategy is the art of seeing all possibilities, giving your opponent's rational counter moves as many levels as the war game master. The most important skill to learn is strategy, usually learned in business school, military, the simple game of chess. Psychological warfare games are no difference. Know that now they know the possible moves you will make and how to silence your voice. Most TI protectors are not very responsible and are waiting for a confession 50 years later, which is useless to alleviate any suffering now, but will occupy your emotions. And most TI protectors in time learn from their failures. We hope we can speed it up so it wasn't a strategy observing, but one of fast forwarding the outcome to alleviate the pain of those suffering. Remember, most TIs mean well, but they don't understand the strategy. The longer they've been a victim shows they never broke through that level of the game. Don't assume in this case that time equals wisdom. Always look for newer researchers who are smart and have creative ideas. Is there any hope? There's power in numbers, and with these voices, the whole might be eventually heard, but there's a lot of work to be done to unify TIs. I agree with this. Understanding of both the technology and strategies to communicate to the public. Congress seems important to investigate at the moment. The more people they put into the program, the more research will be done for shielding, and the more general public will hear about it. Media is becoming more open to the idea of ELF microwave weapons being tested and used, for example. Now, under the Trump regime, people are saying he's going to stop targeting. He may stop some people's targeting. There's many lists. It depends on what list you're on and what list, if he does stop anybody's targeting, which I don't think he's going to. I don't think this stops, but if it does, it won't be everybody. Only some certain people on certain lists. Say he gets the terrorist watch list and gets that target and start. Well, not all targets are not on the terrorist watch list. There's different kinds of lists. Okay, shielding and blocking signal questions. Pain signals are the most difficult to block besides the V2K. Most new TIs do not understand how complex and big these programs are and blame the experience on their neighbors and crime organization. Who has the power to investigate and stop it, and why is it worldwide? Who has this kind of budget? Who wants to control the population? Decide for yourself. And that's something you got to come up with yourself. Now, I know neighbors involved. I know people, people say to, well, it's not your neighbors. Well, some cases it is, not all cases. Is there shielding? Don't buy shielding. I'm telling you, they will do so many tricks with shielding. They'll have you running around spending all your money and wasting resources. This is the $1,000,000 question. Defenses can be classified into groups: passive shielding, active adapting, jamming, chemical, and mental. Passive shielding is the first approach everyone tries. This is where the tinfoil hat was introduced as early and naive form of shielding. Unfortunately, I've never seen any solid study to say it works. It intensified mine when I was being burnt. A simple double-blind study has never been done properly. In fact, other scientific research shows that it may amplify the return signal to the receiver and turn your body into the antenna. That was my experience. Some TIs use space blankets, mylar, to deflect radar energy. Some charge their mylar sheets to high voltage static electricity levels and find some dampening effects symptoms. Many have built Faraday sleeping cages with specific designs that claim they help them. Some TIs have used refrigerators for shielding with claimed success during heavy assaults. Obviously, be aware of your oxygen levels. If you fall asleep in a refrigerator, you will die. We have mylar covering our windows. What I did was I took like 10, about 5 or 6 sheets of mylar and taped them together around the edges and on the top, and we put them right there in the windows. Don't know if it helps or not. We were willing to try anything. There was one point, I'm telling you, these supplements and stuff have really helped me. There was one point, I think a year ago, when I had my head covered with half Ziploc bags full of water. Then I had I read, well, the reason tinfoil don't work is, I was new to shielding, so I read, well, the reason the tinfoil don't work is because they make it too thin with holes in it. So I had the heavy duty tinfoil. I got a baseball cap and lined it with layers. And because what I was told was that hole, the frequencies getting in the hole and bouncing off the tinfoil and making your head hotter. So I tried layer after layer and put it on and still burnt. So there was days like, I would sit with a wet towel over my face, just keeping towels in the freezer, and then I got the caps and what else did I do? The Ziploc bags full of water, moving around. I mean, I couldn't even when I laid on the floor, my body, it was like the floor was vibrating my body even worse. Um, I couldn't get no rest. And man, when I started them mushroom drops, that's when it started to be less intense. Now I still get hit, vibrations and shocks and um my head burning up, sweating profusely, nauseated, vertigo, very bad vertigo. I still get hit, but it's not as aggressive as it was about a year ago. There was days I was begging, crying out loud, begging for mercy. Okay, passive shielding, tinfoil hand. Okay. I would recommend using the materials that the government uses on the stealth bomber to reduce any radar signature and bioeffects on the body and nervous system. Use sharp angles with a deflective material and other materials that absorb, like Teflon, ceramic, and doped rubber. Now, I do have these cones that I use every now and then, that was made by a friend, copper cones. Let's see if I can find them. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, well, I don't know if you can see it. So anyway, you see how it says sharp angles with a deflective material and other materials to absorb. You will have to research this yourself. Others might still be classified. Full spectrum radar is used, which means there's not just a narrow signal frequency. It needs to be dampened. Nothing is 100%. Um, Mu metal, which dampens magnetic fields, have had some success with TIs. One TI even built a superconductive coffin shielding device cooled by liquid nitrogen. It worked perfectly. Don't try that yourself, it's very dangerous. Some TIs use magnets rotating on their bodies. Again, no scientific studies have been done, mostly because it's too expensive to get enough TIs in the same place at the same time to conduct a study and rule out the placebo effect. The unfortunate quality about passive shielding is that it isn't practical and doesn't do the full job. FCC may not like this recommendation, but people's lives are at stake. Electronic warfare is where it is at. The techniques to jam the spectrum is complicated and beyond the scope of this book. It's not just jamming that can be overpowered, it's adaptive jamming using semi-chaotic patterns. This means there's particular frequencies that will lock onto a target in their environment. You need to create ghost signals in the government systems try to track. These change and those false signals must change. Your jammer ghoster needs to be very sophisticated and can be reading the signal spectrum in real time. There are several algorithms that work. Project Soul Catcher Volume 1 goes into more of the scientific details. Now, when I asked Robert Duncan about Project Soul Catcher 1, he said he could not release it because it went too much into the physics of the weapons and stuff and would gave too much away, and he was threatened not to release it. So Project Soul Catcher 1, because I was like, man, there's part 2, but where's 1? So it's never been released. Most TIs do not have skill or money to build such a device and program the computer. There are cheaper tricks that can sort of do it. Chaotic, random, high powered magnetic pulsars, or the opposite. Random, high voltage, static electric fluctuating sheets. There are several technologies being used, such as nuclear magnetic resonance, electronic spin resonance, for example. Can you create a reverse MR imager and ES resonator, electronic spin resonator, add energy into the system as well as monitor subject signature return response? Other methods with active jammers are to halt the correlation of brain signals from those being inserted. There's a problem with that, though. It adds noise to the neural networks of the brain, which has side effects on the target. Power levels are very important. There appears to be a window. General pink noise does not work for long. Some published psychological papers theorized that there are beneficial effects to adding noise to the brain, such as creativity. There are many pieces to how mind control technology works. The idea is to disrupt as many of them as you can, you might get some relief. It takes a while to reconfigure an autonomous mind to the network. There are many factors. One is neurochemical sensitivity. It's been hypothesized that a sensitizer is used on TIs, a chemical agent that bonds permanently to the nerve cells of a TI. Most TIs are distrustful of doctors and pharmaceutical industry in general. This is where the TI needs to make a decision. If a pill once a day might stop the torture, should they try it? The TI does not want to be diagnosed with a mental disorder. There's the taboo of such diagnosis, but if the TI uses a private doctor, it will not be known. Also, the TI has a concern that if they are diagnosed, they will be discredited, and if the brainwashing program continues, they may be tortured worse. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Even if the mental instability is caused by an external signal, it makes some sense that chemicals might be able to dampen bioamplification of these signals. Of course, some drugs leave extreme side effects like turning a target into a zombie. If the TI chooses this course, the practical advice is not to talk about electronic harassment, and organized stalking. Just discuss the symptoms. Generally, a TI will be prescribed an antidepressant, mood stabilizer, or other drug to lower the brain activity in the frontal lobes. This technology creates huge emotional swings. The torture creates depression, and the EEG cloning overexcites the frontal lobes, a kind of dopamine dump. From one study, 25% of those forced to take medications were grateful. Now let's talk about mental defenses. This only applies to TIs with V2K. As part of every breakdown process of the individual human will, degradation, and fear. It is used in every military indoctrination process. The psychological techniques can be quite complex if changing a person from one loyalty to another. Understanding the handler's objective is the key for resistance and counter-resistance techniques employed. Understanding torture and brainwashing techniques is a must for psychological defense. SERE, S-E-R-E, is a U.S. program to give soldiers a sense of what torture would entail if captured by the enemy. Study torture so that you can grasp why you're being tortured in certain ways. To help defeat the psychological trauma, be confident who you are and what values you stand for. See a psychologist and try positive affirmations and hypnotism to counteract the negativity from the V2K. Surround yourself by positive people and limit your time on conspiracy web blogs. Misery loves company, but it's a downward spiral for many. Now, I disagree about the see a psychologist, but I mean, maybe if you're not talking about your target and you're just trying to talk about stuff in general. There are other mental rewiring techniques to subdue the internal correlated signals, which are meant to create a different personality in the target. This is the gist of the techniques to explore. A TI gets programmed using subliminal synthetic telepathy and during their sleep cycles, often called neurolinguistic programming. The resistance goals are to decorrelate the programming. There are several discovered technologies tactics that may help alleviate some of the programming. The big question that is TIs with V2K asks is our jammer. I use handpan music, controlled breathing in my nose, out my mouth. I'm multitasking. Dave Case supposedly has a CD that works. I haven't tried that. Um, but the handpan music works pretty good for me. Other than that, I just try to ignore it. But I've been dealing with it for, let's see, 10 years now. Um, so as it goes along, you'll learn V2K, you'll learn their patterns, you'll learn what they're doing to you, what they're saying, what their purpose is, and you'll get to where you know their patterns, you know what they're saying is just fear based, and you know when they're lying or when they're trying to tell you the truth or what their motives are. Once you deal with it for so long, you'll learn. Why do commercials work or government propaganda on less conscious, self aware human beings? Some TIs have displayed their EEG readings before and after some experiments. What these TIs did was listen to music, their tinnitus frequency, white noise while they slept during the daytime for 6 months. The results of the EEG and brain function were very hopeful. Let's look at the theory of why this might have had a positive effect on their psychology. When the information in neural networks, wetware, is being overridden, is changing the synaptic connection of strengths and dendrites and synapses under time delay, informational microcircuits, and macrocircuit responses. It is like having multiple minds in a single brain depending on the timing circuits of the brain, which gives rise to reality perception in the brain or the mind. This is one method of how multiple personality disorder can be induced in state-dependent memory. These theories of neural networks, which use timings in the brain for altered realities, are classified for now. Here's a list of things to try: white noise generators, or complete silence while sleeping; negative ion generators, especially if they oscillate their spray and have a random intensity of dispersal ions. This appears to have a jamming effect. Strong magnetic pulsars, often called EMP or induction propulsion. Extreme low frequency scramblers, 20 hertz, 20,000 hertz to 1/3 of a hertz. There are many psychotronically active frequencies in these ranges, especially in the lowest ranges. Door jams and deadbolts are a good idea for sleeping areas. Voice activated or movement activated recording devices to help defend against break ins. One could put flour on the floor to view footsteps and use other clever, subtle break in detection methods. Under carpet pressure sensors work too. It appears there are detrimental effects from a signal piggybacking the alternating current power lines and the static electricity in the body accumulates. Earthing grounding helps some TIs. Use true ground because the body acts like an antenna in a capacitor, inductor, and resonator. Changing the capacitor of the body helps others temporarily because it changes the resonance. Some examples are extending and touching a long metal pole while extending the arms in particular directions. Be sure not to fall for the torture technique or stress positions that are used on TIs and part of all torture techniques. Some TIs have experimented with 3D magnetic coils, one powerful one on each axis around their environment, XYZ, at low oscillation frequencies at slightly different timings. This would jam some of the NMR imaging technologies if done correctly. Since a wide range of frequencies and widebands are used, jammers are at various ranges disrupt the signal. Jammers at various ranges disrupt the signal to noise ratio of receiving sensors necessary for remote neural monitoring. One experimenter found relief using coils of different sizes with poles of certain vertical lengths surrounding his or her environment help. They were horizontal Tesla coils. I've heard them things work, but I've never tried them. Faraday cage design using ceramic, Teflon, rubber, mu metal at sharp angle reflection of radar energy and dampening materials have helped some TIs. Electronic warfare signal communication jammers. Remember, as of yet, only superconductor chambers have provided real TIs with relief. Nothing on the market's 100% effective, and you'll have to experiment with yourself to find what works for you. And I'm going to stop right there. And for today, if I had my say, I would do this all over again, this reading all over again. I don't feel like I'm all here today, but I'm trying to bounce back. Whatever they tried to do to me, or whatever illness I had, or whatever I've went through the past few days, is I'm still bouncing back for it, and really not 100% yet, but I'm going to get there. I'm a fighter, and I'm not going to give up. And I'm getting there slowly but surely. I'm making progress. So hopefully I'll be back to myself next couple days. Please email me if you'd like to do a video, interview, or tell your story on my show, or just do a discussion, record a discussion about something, and then we can put it on the show. hollyspunk@gmail.com. Like I said, I will be 100% tomorrow or the next day and back at it again. And like I said, I'm not saying weapons caused whatever went on the last 3 days. I just know my brain just felt depleted. My whole body was hurting, and all I could do is just rest, try to rest. Then I got V2K was going on in my head 24/7, but I'm pretty good at dealing with V2K. But God bless all TIs, and really the only reason I'm putting this video out is to show y'all, hey, I'm okay, and I'm doing a video, or I would do it over. So don't think all my read-throughs are going to be as boring as that. I just tried my best. I needed to get a video out because I haven't talked to y'all in a while, in 3 days, matter of fact. So I'm bouncing back slowly but surely. Keep us in your prayers, and we pray for all TIs as well. God bless.